something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call?
This was my favorite movie growing up, Ghost
Yeah.
Hunters. Well, this is the time of year ghost stories seem to come alive, but you don't have to wait until Halloween to hear some of the ones from here on Delmarva.
Chesapeake Ghost Walks on Maryland's Eastern Shore is the largest cluster of regional ghost tours in America. They have 10 separate nighttime walks year-round. And as I mentioned before, I'm too chicken to watch scary movies, so I wasn't sure if I'd be up for setting out to search for ghosts. So we sent Delmarva Life video journalist Eric Cheevers.
We'll keep tuning until it tunes in on an AM talk radio station and then just stop there. So that's why they're pretty convinced it's Mr. Ayers, just coming to let them know he's still around and watching out over things. We used to just pick a place in it on a Sunday afternoon and go find it and have a nice lunch and get off with it. As haunted as it looks. But we're going to share a quick story here simply because it's very important to the history of the town of Berlin.
That was very interesting, yet kind of creepy about the whole thing. Like, because you know that there are like ghosts walking around.
And she moved a small little table in front of the door to keep the door open. She went down the hall to get something out of the supply closet, and as she came back, she could see the table just kind of sliding and the door closing. On our way in, we do like to point out that Indiana Jones is buried here. But this section right here definitely tells a story. This is the grave of Sally Carey. She died in 1873.
Probably going to the graveyard was hearing about all the ghost stories in it.
And when she turned the bottle over, it was the name of the perfume that Joanne always wore.
Then being able to put my hand to the tree and feel the tingling sensation in my...
Has anybody ever had any kind of experience with a spirit?
Saw what I thought were like hands poking through the window, and it looked like somebody walked in through my window, walked across in front of my bed, smiled, waved at me, walked out the door.
The alarms would go at night, the elevators would start to come down, they would open up, there'd be nobody on them, they would go up again. So their theory was that it was the old firemen who have come back to answer the call.
The most exciting part was seeing that door move in that haunted house. And they were up on the top middle window, there was like a figure of like a face.
So what these ladies experience is when they come in the early morning in those pre-dawn hours, they will see elementals of cats all around the dumpster. So the ghost kitty's going after the ghost fish guts, I guess. I was standing right next to her. He said, and very clearly that voice came from the other side of that door.
It was really fun and informative and kind of creepy, but it was still really cool and fun at the same time.
Together, this cluster of ghost walks includes more than 130 haunted sites and stories and 10 graveyards. All but one of the walks is suitable for kids. And to learn more about these tours or to make a reservation, go to our website, wboc.com. Click on our picture at the top of the page. Well, the Chesapeake ghost tours are popular this time of year, but they're more storytelling than actually ghost hunting.
But there is big interest in the paranormal. That's why people are paying to tag along with ghost hunters as they try to find some spooky evidence of the afterlife.
Death in the family caused four-state paranormal founder David Glidden to get interested in the paranormal.
When I was 16, one of my brothers had passed away, and it just kind of left me thinking about life after death and things of that nature.
Since then, Glidden and his team investigate places deemed haunted, like this museum. The investigation started out rather routine, but things took a turn.
As the night progressed, it seemed to kind of change the mood a little bit whenever things started, going off and sounding a little odd,
Here is footage of a cold chill coming over Tidwell in the military exhibit. The exhibit was notably active.
It's said that with paranormal activity comes, electromagnet, forces, things like that, which end up pretty much sucking all of the, energy out of the air, which makes things cold. Well, if an entity is like passing through you and they've sucked in all that energy to make that movement, then once they pass through you, you get that kind of chill.
Participants are told to narrate any sounds they made so they didn't interfere with the team's playback of the footage. At one point, female mumbling takes place, but nobody was owning up to it.
What people need to know is that paranormal investigating is not necessarily a game. It's nothing that you should be out just getting a thrill for. It can be dangerous. I have seen people get physically attacked. I have seen people, what I believe were partial possessions.
And believers were made after a voice in the military exhibit told the group it was the owner of the single brown uniform in the exhibit, then making something fall in the background.
Ooh, spooky. Well, a full video of what the group found later in the evening has been reserved for their web show, Haunting History, which will release on Halloween night. For a link to that web show, go to our website, WBOC.com, and click on our picture at the top of the page.
And you can find those ghost hunts here on Delmarva. One of the oldest towns is Lewis, and there are plenty of ghost stories surrounding some of the old buildings there, like the Cannonball House.
In this building, at one time, this was the home of Susan Rowland, and she died. Her dress caught on fire when she was cooking in the fireplace. There's a door in the back room that where she died that sometimes opens by itself, closes by itself, and people have heard some strange things and maybe seen some things in here that they can't quite explain.
Professional ghost hunters have visited many of these buildings, setting up cameras, microphones, and meters for electrical discrepancies. Executive Director of the Lewis Historical Society, Mike DiPaolo, says what they did pick up was deemed unexplainable.
Now, you might remember on Monday we shared the story of the Dunes Manor Hotel in Ocean City. Apparently, this gorgeous hotel has a few guests that may not be of this world. General Manager Kyle Johnson told us both staff and guests have shared stories of paranormal encounters. Have no fear though, because as the stories go, it's just Thelma Connor, the hotel's founder, who passed away a few years back. So Lisa, I think she's just checking up on the guests, making sure everything's still running smoothly.
She's a friendly ghost.
She's a friendly ghost.
And you're going to want to keep your eye on the haunted cuties in our studio today, and I'm not talking about this one right here. I'm talking about the cats and dogs that are giving us a festive fashion show, but it's more than that. They're also looking for a home this Halloween. Learn how you can help. That's next.
And Lisa, you're going to need some help when we bob for apples. We're headed into the kitchen for a little competition a little later. But first, another Halloween fun fact. Did you know Halloween was brought to North America by immigrants from Europe who would celebrate the harvest around a bonfire, share ghost stories, sing, dance, and tell fortunes?
How about that? Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.